All right, y'all. It's the time of the day that you've been waiting for. It is the one show on air that will take you from the boardroom to the bedroom, from politics to the pulpit, and everything in between with your favorite friends. You are about to join the crew for Fresh Fire as we do what we do all together. Tune in.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the crew here on WHOV. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, everywhere, social media-wise. We're glad to be back for another show. Hey, y'all, this is the last show before the holiday break.
It is. We're in the holiday season officially.
So, Ty, I need you to be nice today, man. You know, it's holiday season, man.
He said he going out with the bang.
On my Jesus t-shirt.
That don't mean you nice.
And I got on a t-shirt where he was crucified.
Okay.
So I'm ready to
That's what
crucify
he's here
somebody
for.
today. The topic we
he's
got
here
today,
for.
somebody got to get crucified because the demons are real. Can I
It's
just
still
say
the
that?
holiday season,
The demons
Ty.
are still real in the holidays,
Put them on the cross.
They probably
Ty.
more real in the
Put them
holidays
on
than they
the
do the other
cross.
time.
On the cross.
Yeah.
I support it.
You support it?
I support
What
it.
kind of holiday season
I want you
is
to know
this?
that I'm.
It's supposed to be glad
Look,
tidings
this
and good
season,
cheer.
this season is about Jesus Christ, and He was on the cross. All right, so why don't we start slaying some of the sin that's going on around here that is absolutely destructive
Oh, it's
on
rampant.
every level.
Oh, it's rampant.
Okay.
And it's about he came.
It's out of control right
He
now.
came.
Right.
And so he came to die.
And
Yeah.
you coming to expose.
I'm coming to his
Well,
expose.
look, he's just fulfilling the scripture. He said, "Greater things shall ye do."
I almost felt a tongue. I almost felt the tongue, man. Come on there, somebody. I'm just saying.
Yeah, so again, for those who don't know, this is the last show for the break. We take a little break. We come back in the new year. We're excited, keep on doing the shows that we're doing. But look, man, Ray, how you doing, man? You doing all right?
I'm good, man. I'm anticipating the barrage of things that's about to happen on this show on today. But no, I'm good. I'm well. I'm not a happy holidays person. I'm a Merry Christmas person.
Yes.
But happy holidays
Happy
to
New Year.
whoever else and however that works out for everybody.
But we got to expand because we got people that listen to the show,
true.
watch
Yeah.
the show. That's
That's
not
true.
just Christian.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that's Kwanzaa.
And we love
that's-
them too.
Yeah,
That's
Kwanzaa.
Hanukkah.
Yeah.
That's
Hanukkah,
all
yeah.
the stuff that happens
Yeah.
this time of year.
Yeah.
We want to
And
wish
we love all
everybody.
of you.
Yeah,
all of
we
them.
appreciate all of you.
Now, do y'all got any plans? You the only one that's. Do you still play Santa Claus, man? Or do you?
No, he is 15 years old and 6'5".
My Lord.
He's taller than me.
It is
Some people
over.
still play that Santa Claus all the way out, man.
No, Santa Anton bought that gift, brother.
That's what I'm talking about.
He
Okay,
said
brother.
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus bought that
That's
gift,
what
brother.
I'm saying.
Okay,
Listen,
and he knows Santa bought that gift.
I had that conversation with our kids too. Listen,
Yeah.
somebody else is gonna get the credit for
I
all the
know
work
that's
I'm
right.
doing.
Come on.
See,
I know
All
that's
the
that
stuff
part.
I'm spending, working
Come on.
hard, so you can
Amen.
have
Working
some under the
hard.
tree.
Amen.
that part right there.
It's me.
Come on.
That's right.
I'm all the Santa you.
Like I always say, fighting for my virginity like I'm in a rodeo prison.
Let me get away. Let me get away from
I'm just
them.
saying. I'm just saying.
Ivy, do you do any special things for the holiday? Do you do anything?
We're not materialistic people, so we don't actually buy gifts for each other,
Good for
with the
you.
exception of the littlest ones. The little, because you
babies.
don't want to send them to school and they're the only kids that didn't get anything, right?
Yeah.
But once you hit your teenage years in my house, you're done with Christmas gifts. It's really about the experience. It's the being together. We cook together. We laugh. We do spontaneous concerts. We're jumping on furniture. Y'all, I don't buy furniture for you to not live on it, okay? So we're on furniture. We're singing to old school stuff. I mean, just having a wonderful time. Because that's the stuff that you remember when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
You don't even remember ask your kids what you bought them last year.
Right.
None of them remember.
No.
So, but if you ask them what we did,
Right.
they will remember that. So I build memories
Yes.
during the
Good.
holidays.
That's
Memories are always better because you
Yep.
right.
I hope that Joker did remember what I bought him last year because it wasn't cheap. So,
He don't forget.
No, he ain't
You ain't forget.
He still play on it. So I know he didn't forget.
know that.
Look, he play on it, but that don't mean he remembered it was for Christmas
just
last
saying,
year. But look, we're going to take a break here. We're going to come back. We're going to pick up where we left off last time. It was so much that we talked about. We
sure
couldn't
did.
even get it all
We sure did.
in one show. We're going to come back. Hope you're enjoying the show today. This is The Crew. And we're back on The Crew, WHOV. We're on YouTube, Facebook, all the social media outlets. Before we get started, let's give a big shout out to Jason Covington,
I know that's
our
right.
producer extraordinaire, always working hard behind the scenes to make this happen.
Yes.
And look, we want to give a shout out to Marcia too. She's not with us
Yeah,
today,
she wanted
not
to be
feeling
here.
good, but we wish her well and health and all that kind of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So look, last time, Ton, you are the one that comes up with the content of the show. Last time we couldn't even finish the show. It was so much, and we got so much feedback from people like, yo, you hit a nerve.
Yeah, they did. They
We
really
hit
did.
a nerve. And for those who don't remember what we talked about, we really had a conversation about the culture surrounding hip hop, right?
Yes.
And some of the stuff that's starting to come to light, some stuff that's been underneath the surface for years, and this all started with Diddy and Cassie.
Yes.
And so from there, we kind of morphed out and had a greater conversation. But Tom, for those who didn't listen to last show or didn't see it, can you give a quick recap of what we talked about?
So last show, we talked about the number of lawsuits that have been coming forth as a result of this New York Adult Sexual Survivors Act.
Right.
And so it just expired November 23rd. And so there's still more lawsuits coming. But we talked about Cassie, which was Diddy's former lover, and we talked about the lawsuit that she filed on one day. And she alleged rape, she alleged human trafficking, where she basically said he put her out to different male sex workers and had them having sex with her. He physically assaulted her. He intimidated her by blowing up or having someone's car blown up, and by dangling someone from the 17th floor balcony. Said that he supplied her with drugs to the point where she now has memory losses and things of that nature. So she filed it one day in federal court, and they settled the next day, unheard of.
Wow.
For multi-millions, by the way.
She was asking for 30 million.
Right.
30 million.
Yeah.
Right. So the fact that he settled the next day, what does that say to you?
Said to me, I want to keep this hush-hush, and I
Absolutely.
want to quiet this up as
Yep,
quickly
make it
as
go
possible.
away.
Make it
Right.
go away.
Yep.
Right.
That's what that says to me.
I agree.
My perception.
Now, Al, do you think this is an extension of the Me Too movement, or do you think this is something separate from, and that maybe it was more in line with the New York statute of limitations for people to come forward?
I think that what the Me Too movement did is make women believe that, one, they're not alone in these experiences, that there is some kind of support network that exists, a sisterhood that exists internationally, along with our allies. Because let me be clear, there are so many men, and I am grateful for my brothers on this show, but so many men who support women just because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
So we're grateful for both, but what the Me Too movement did was help folks to know that you are not by yourself, and there are things that can be done and will be done as a byproduct of you coming out. It's not flawless, but it certainly gave us the breeding ground for that. I do think that this stands apart from it, but I think this case stands apart from it, but I think it's kind of the wind underneath its wings might have come from the Me Too movement.
And before we go any further, we did it last time. We got to give a quick disclaimer.
Absolutely.
About the content
Absolutely, the
of
nature
the show.
of the show.
Go ahead, Al.
And let me say, for those of you, both men and women, because let's be clear, triggers are not unique to gender.
That's right.
Okay? So both men and women who may have experienced sexual assault or violation at any point in your life that are uncomfortable with engaging in that topic, today's conversation will include the seriousness, the sensitivity, and the trauma associated with these things as we explore the conversation. So if you don't want to join us for the rest of this, we love you, and we hope that you get the support and the healing that you deserve, and we certainly release you from engaging inside of this. For those who are able to engage through the rest of the conversation, we welcome you into the dialogue as we bring these things to the table, because nothing gets healed if it's not exposed.
Absolutely. And Ray, the reason why we're having this conversation is because we know that this is the underbed of the culture, of the music of which our kids and people listen to. And we know that words have power.
Absolutely. You know, one of the unique things about you and I is that before we became, the senior leaders in the professions that we were in, we were the youth guys. And so we would spend times and hours and workshops talking to parents about, you've got to be able to police. Back then it was the CDs and the MP3 players that are coming out. Now the children have stuff. You've got tidal wave, digital download. Things are coming through
All
on
kinds
cell
of streaming
phones,
platforms.
iPods. Everything is happening so easily and so randomly. And so today, I would say make sure you go through your child's playlist so you understand what it is that they're listening to. Because with the beat comes a syncopation, comes in some senses really a melody that can really begin to hypnotize without them even understanding what's going on in their value system, and then they end up acting out something that's gotten poured in as a result of the music and the culture that we're into today. It's that influential.
It is, and it's subtle. You know, people listen to the beat time, but they don't always listen to the words. But then those words get down in the soul.
They
It's like the Pied Piper.
It is.
Yes, they
It
do.
There you
is.
go.
And so today, Ton, you know, you on your day job, you do pretty good at being an attorney. And so you brought some evidence
He
today.
got time today.
And it's more than just Diddy today. We're widening out the net.
We're going to widen that net.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And because, again, we want to make sure people understand that this is a underbelly. This is the culture,
Yes.
that's happening where music is being made and all the stuff that's going on around it, right?
Yes.
All right.
So, okay, so let's just say this. First of all, let's start here. Right now, as we are speaking, there now have been 5 lawsuits filed against Diddy for 5 separate incidents involving multiple women in these lawsuits. And they're all of a sexual nature. So I told you about the first one with Cassie. So shortly thereafter, and I'm sorry, and all of these have occurred because I told you, I said, once Cassie filed, I said, watch it rain. I said, they're coming forth. It's going to be just a rain or a barrage of other victims, because when one victim feels empowered, what it's going to do is say, you know what, if she can do it, I can do it.
too.
Right.
If she
I'm
can
not
come forth,
alone.
I'm not alone. And that's what the whole Me Too, and I believe we're about to enter into that Me Too movement, and it's going to start with him. So you had a second lawsuit that came shortly thereafter, and it was an unnamed woman, and she worked as an assistant to Harvey Pierre, who was the president of Bad Boy Records. And so she is now suing Bad Boy Records. She's suing Combs Enterprises, and she's suing Harvey Pierre because she said that back in 2016, 2017, he groomed, exploited, and sexually abused her between that time frame, and that Puffy or Combs Enterprises, they enabled the abuse because she worked for Pierre as his assistant at the time. So now you have that derivative liability that we're now dealing with on the second lawsuit. So she's not saying that P. Diddy himself personally did it. She's just saying he created a culture that enabled that to occur, and it was acceptable. Right. So that's the second lawsuit. Third lawsuit on the heels of that was by Joy Dickerson. And here's the thing. Joy Dickerson and another woman filed a lawsuit within hours of each other. So number 3 and number 4 were literally filed within hours of one another. So Joy Dickerson Neal was a college student some time ago, and she alleges that during a rape, or after, not a rape, but during a date, that she was drugged and raped by Puffy, and that he filmed the attack and shared it with others. So now it's not that I just took it, but I also am getting my kicks off by sharing it with my boys. So that's what she's alleging in her lawsuit. Within hours of that, another young lady, and we talked about this on the last show, she alleged that Diddy and Aaron Hall, they swapped out on her and another friend who were in 2 different bedrooms, and they said one would rape them, and then when that person got up, the other one switched off, and that person raped her. So Aaron Hall is now caught up in that particular net. And then this last lawsuit that was just filed, hot on the press. Now, this one is, I think, the most explosive. I think it's as explosive, if not more explosive, than Cassie. Because this one involves a young lady who said she was 17 at the time.
She was a minor.
So she was a minor. This happened 20 years ago now. But she's alleging that 20 years ago, she was in a Detroit lounge, and here we go, Harvey Pierre saw her. And when he saw her, he went up to her and started talking to her, and he told her, hey, where you know, my best friend is P. Diddy. And so I guess whatever, during the exchange or whatever, he wanted to prove it. So he got him on the phone. So he got him on the phone. According to the lawsuit, he got him on the phone. And when he got him on the phone, Diddy convinced the 17-year-old who was in the 11th grade at the time.
Oh, my Lord.
So we're not talking about a senior, y'all. We're talking about an 11th grader. He convinced her, according to the lawsuit, to get on a private jet. So you're not going out in the public. This is all secretive and hidden. You get on my private jet. And they flew her along with an unknown accomplice to New York, to his studio, where they met up with P. Diddy. According to her lawsuit, she said he plied her, or they plied her with alcohol and with drugs. Once intoxicated, they gang raped her. They ran a train on her.
Wow. And she was a child.
And she was a child. She was 17 years old. And according to her, they ran a train on her. Now, here's the thing that I think is even more explosive. She took photos.
Thank God.
The night of that incident or that alleged crime, because that's what I'm going to call it.
It's a crime.
The alleged crime. She took photos with Diddy at his studio. So it's a timestamp.
Oh, my.
Of when she was 17 years old, hanging out with this joker who was in his 30s, and she was from Detroit. How did you get to New York City?
Right.
So are all of these new filings within the limitation now of New York?
Oh, it gets better. So I told you about the expiration date of the New York, the state of New York Adult Sexual Assault Survivors Act. Well, it expired November 23rd. However, March 23rd, New York City enacted a law. And their law is called the New York City's Victim of Gender Motivated Protection Law. And that gives you 2 years from March 2023 for you to file a lawsuit for any sexual assault that may have occurred, no matter when it occurred.
The doors have opened.
So the doors have opened. So what we were thinking
now.
about concerning the other law elapsing, now you got 2 more years if it occurred within the city of New York City.
Wow.
So she's the first one. She's the first one to file under this particular law. The rest filed under the old law, the previous law before it lapsed. She is the first to file under the new
under the city law.
So as of right now, none of the new persons that filed a suit, they haven't settled, right?
No. They are live and active lawsuits, civil lawsuits.
And in your estimation, how do you think these are going to play out? You think he's going to quickly settle?
No, because when this last one came out, because she was a minor, so now we're getting R. Kelly-ish now.
Yeah.
Come
That's
on
what
now.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Starting to sound real familiar.
Yeah, your mind telling me no, but your body's telling me yes.
Yeah.
Well, his body telling him yes in prison now. See, be careful. So anyway, so you're getting R. Kelly-ish now. And he knows we're going down that R. Kelly road because now we're dealing with a minor and people get extremely sensitive about those minors.
Gets different.
So now you have already opened a different can of worms. So now he has come out with a statement saying people are trying to disparage his reputation and his family. They're trying to destroy him. And he said this through his attorney. So now he's put out a statement basically denying everything, saying he doesn't even know these women and blah, blah, blah. But it's kind of hard to say you don't know these women when the 17-year-old filed the photos with the lawsuit.
Right.
Wait a minute today.
Wait a minute. Is that you in that photo?
Right.
You know, I've done that before. You know, had some photos when a person said, you know, I don't know about what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, who's this person in this photo? That's me. And who is this person in that photo? That's me. And who's this person in this photo? It's me, okay? That literally happened to me during a cross-examination. So, you know, pictures worth more than 1,000 words.
Yes, it is.
So Al, okay, so now we have allegedly a pattern of behavior.
Predatory behavior.
Right? And so now you're hearing this as a woman. I'm hearing the 17-year-old. I can't
and you
imagine.
have a daughter.
This is what I want to talk about.
I can't do it.
Yep.
I'm hearing a 17-year-old getting on a plane.
Yep. And where are her parents?
Where are her parents?
11th grader.
Yep.
Where are her parents?
Where are your
How
guardians?
come the parents ain't on the plane?
Where are the adults in
you,
the scenario?
you speak to this because I think if may come off a little better if you.
So I had the
woman.
same thought you had. Now this. Let me be clear. We are not saying or insinuating in any way that any of the behavior that took place, which is unequivocally criminal and it's technically pedophilia, if we're going to be accurate about this. So we're not in any way diluting that or justifying any of that. We're just asking the question because we're talking about a minor, which is the same question that we had when the R. Kelly cases unfolded, because there were so many minors involved in that. And in some situations, quite honestly, the parents should have been charged also.
Talk about it right
because of
there.
the willful neglect.
That's the charge.
Associated with what they allowed to happen to their children, all in the name of money, okay? And let's be clear, just because you're a parent doesn't mean that you have your child's best interest at heart, okay? There are so many adults that see their children as their retirement plan, that they are willing to compromise on the safety, mental, physical, and spiritual health of their children in order to offset the lifestyle that they believe they deserve. And because you're my kid, I am willing to sacrifice you for it.
You talking.
And many will justify all the sacrifices they made to raise this kid. And basically it's ROI, it's return on my investment, which is a twisted, disgusting way to raise parent, father, mother, a child, if you even want to call it that. You know, it's very concerning. So we're raising this point in terms of we're now talking about a minor in this scenario. Where were the adults in her life? Because she got on a plane from one state and ended up in another state. So was there a runaway situation inside of this? Was there a, because he's famous, we're going to let you go situation? Was it a, I'm supposed to be sleeping at my friend's house and I'm not really where I said I was going to be? As parents, we can't help but to be curious. What the heck is going on that you're moving this freely as an under 18-year-old? You are not in college. My daughter went to school a year early for academic reasons. So she was in college as a freshman at 17. So the decisions that she's making at 17, some of that I didn't have any information on. Thank God it wasn't anything terrible, but because she was already in school. But when you're in 11th grade, as Anton so clearly emphasized, you are still living with some guardian of some sort, unless you are homeless. Okay? So there is some concern for the neglect associated with that. And that, I immediately had the same thought you had, Kevin. Like, because I'm thinking, you guys are both girl dads. I mean, you have sons also, but you're both girl dads too. I'm immediately thinking, where's your mama and daddy at?
Hello?
Where's your grandma, your grandpa, your somebody, your auntie, your uncle? Where is somebody who loves you? Where are they when you are stepping on some stranger? This is a stranger. And let's be clear, just because people are famous does not in any way make them good people. Just because they're famous does not in any way make them reliable or trustworthy. They are just people also, and more often than not, people who have also sold themselves at some point for the money that they have. And we know in the cycles of abuse, the thing that happened to you, you will visit upon someone else if you don't get the healing and psychological intervention you need.
That's good. And Ton and Al, I wanna ask a question, because I know there's some people watching this and some people listening, and this is, let me be clear, this is not my view.
Yes.
But, you know, if we're going to have the conversation, we talk about it from all angles. Do you think that somebody's out here thinking, okay, all of these people are coming forward because Cassie got millions of dollars?
Right. That is it a money grab?
Is it? Yeah. Is it? Then maybe we had some interaction, but if
now
I'm looking,
can I use it in a way that
I'm
is
looking
advantageous?
at this and I see she got allegedly
$30 million. Inside a day.
Could I potentially be looking at that and say, I'm going to come forward too with the hope of getting some financial benefit from it?
And so I would say that people are absolutely capable of doing that. I think that what makes it unlikely is because we have a pattern of behavior. If we were talking about someone who vehemently argued even the first allegation, was able to support their innocence inside of the first situation, who doesn't have a reputation of doing certain kinds of things, then we might be having a different conversation. The reason why there's not a whole lot of support or concern for, or even empathy, to be honest, for what the onslaught that is ensuing is because you've already established the way in which you will operate. And most people already know it. It was just a matter of time before the thing that happened in the dark came to the light.
It's an open secret.
And now, exactly.
It was an open secret.
Exactly. And we have a lot of that when you're talking about the wealthy. We have a lot of that when you're talking about the famous. We have a lot of that when you have a celebrity factor associated with it. Now, but I'm not arguing that there aren't people who would take advantage of those kinds of opportunities. I'm just saying that, I mean, if it walks like a duck.
So in this case for Diddy, when Cassie came out, was it more surprise, or was it more, I knew it was going to happen eventually?
Sooner or later.
Me,
yeah.
It was, I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, I would have said the same thing. Yep. Sooner or later, we're going to be having this conversation.
And I want to say something, but I ain't trying to get sued, so I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, don't do it.
But you know what? We touching the tip of the iceberg in my mind.
Yeah.
I think we really are touching the tip of the iceberg. I'm waiting for
How deep
way
does this go?
worse
Yep.
to come out.
Yep.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for way worse because like again, it's been an open secret or open rumor concerning how he lives and has lived over the last couple of decades. There's if you mention his name in any barber shop, they're going to go there in all these areas and then some, and even involving whether, you know, people even questioning whether he's responsible for lives that have been lost and has mysteriously occurred.
Yep.
It's so mafia type.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just mafia.
And if we're honest, it's not that different than, as we've referenced before, the R. Kelly situation.
absolutely. Yeah.
We talked for years about his affinity
rumors.
for young
Yes,
girls
we
and the
did.
kinds of things that he
We
was
did.
doing and the way they kind of disappear into his world as soon as they're invited in, and the women who help facilitate, because women could be just as predatory too, and they are not loyal to each other just because we are all women. There are women who participate in this stuff, who hunt for victims for these men to feed the beast.
Let me pause you. So in many of our human trafficking cases that we prosecute,
Yep.
many times, most times, matter of fact, I haven't yet to see one where there was not some, if it's of a bigger nature, like, you know, more than multiple women.
Right.
Typically, there is a female involved
who's part of
who
it.
is going to be the one that's going to help lure them into this web of entrapment, and is going to also be the one responsible for keeping the young ladies in line, keeping them in check. So many times when we prosecute the men, we're also prosecuting some female along with it.
Yep, which is typical in brothels also.
Yeah.
There are almost
I
always
was about to say,
women
it's
who
not
are
like
overseeing
a
that.
madam situation
Yep.
going on.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So then I want to be very delicate here as well, because we talked about this off the air. There seems to be a pattern, right? The pattern is I meet you in a bar somewhere and I invite you upstairs.
Or date.
Or date. And I invite you to a private space.
Private
Or
location.
work.
Right?
Bro, no.
Sometimes it's in the studio.
Can I just
It's
tell you this? There is no limits on the suits now, because there are dates. There are meet you in the bar,
Various
and we weren't on a
locations.
date, but we just happen to meet in the bar. There's employee situations. There's girlfriend situations. I mean, what else is left?
Correct. I got you.
Okay.
So in a situation like that, Al, I'm coming back to you again. And again, this is not my view, but there are some
but you're
people,
asking the questions that people
some
would ask
people-
us.
yeah. So if you get an invitation to go to a private space, whether it's a hotel space, we drinking,
Yep.
and I'm inviting you.
Yep.
I'm feeling some kind of way about you right now.
Not me, Todd. This is not me.
These are the questions that
we
people.
are
This is not
asked.
I
me.
just got to look at the camera for a second. I'm feeling some kind of
Somebody's
way
gonna
right
ask.
now. I know they are. But as a prosecutor, I'm just going to tell you, I am feeling some kind of way
No,
about
Tom.
Argumentative.
Don't come for me.
Argumentative.
for you.
No, you're not
Argumentative.
coming for me.
I'm coming
Argumentative.
For, Al, I see where he's about to
No,
go.
this is
You sound like a typical defense attorney.
I ain't even in law, Tom.
I know,
I'm
but
asking the question.
Dude, don't ask your question, but it sounds like a typical defense
No.
attorney who is victim blaming.
No.
Now, I get no, and I know you're not. You're
is
asking the
not
question
him
because
personally.
I know it's not you
Yeah.
personally.
The
you're
sentiment and the
asking
thought.
the question because there are people out there that's going to ask that question.
100%.
I get that, but I'm telling you that kind of thinking goes on all the time on these acquaintance rape juries where people blame the victim because she did something that
What she was wearing, where she
did
went,
something
who she
that was not wise, or she did something that probably the average female may not have done with good judgment.
Right.
So when they exercise poor judgment, they blame them for, well, you put yourself in that situation, so you got what you got. And people will literally let that person go. Even though they believe they did what they did, they'll let them go because they said, well, if you hadn't done what you did as far as put yourself in that situation,
It never would have happened.
it would have never happened.
Right.
And but my thing is, no means no. Rape is rape. If I don't
Predators
care
are
if the
predators are
brother
predators.
is butt naked, she butt naked, and y'all already in the midst of it, and she say stop,
It's done.
it's done. It's rape.
I agree with you.
I know you do, but I'm saying just for the audience, for those who may be thinking that right now, because I'm telling you, a lot of people were listening to that last show and have been voicing opinions about that last show.
And a lot of people who listen to the show have this thought in mind.
Sure they do.
And that's why we got to ask the question.
Yes, we do, but
So
I'm
how
just
do we
saying that
respond? I'm gonna
sounds
get
like
Alvin on
a
this.
typical
Yeah, I'm just
defense
telling I'm not
attorney.
in law. I don't do that. But you know, how do you delicately respond to that?
Give us the
From a female perspective.
From a female's perspective.
So both things are true at the same time. And what I mean by both things are true is that it's important for us as women, for our safety, that we choose to exercise good judgment. It's important for us to do that, right? But it does not change the law. It does not change the moral and ethical responsibility of the person who is partnering inside of this, that if she says no, it's a complete sentence. It's not, why are you saying no now? You were saying yes before. It's not. The answer is no, we're done. It's done officially at that moment. But as a parent, as a woman of daughters, it's incumbent upon me to talk to my daughters about the vulnerabilities that exist as a byproduct of the places we go and the choices that we make. It will never make the crime justified.
Right.
It just means the same way that you have to put on your seatbelt when you drive a car. So in the event of a car crash, you don't come through that windshield. It doesn't stop the drunk driver from running into you. It just means that I want you to be able to survive the crash I couldn't prevent. Right? So the decisions that we make minimize the likelihood of certain things transpiring, but they don't save us from everything. And that's where the law steps in. And the law is that we must respect every person's personhood, and no one has a right to touch you or violate you in any way. And if you did not willfully choose to engage inside of this sexual, intimate, or whatever exchange, then it is a crime if it is forced upon you. Period.
Agree.
Full stop.
And so that you understand the law on this part, or the radio audience understand who are thinking this, please understand, if you get someone intoxicated to the
that's
point
different.
where
That's
they
totally,
do not understand or
They cannot give
consent, then that is called mental incapacity. And guess what? That is rape.
Yep.
It is absolute rape.
Absolutely.
And also when people come with accusations, because people come with accusations every day. You have to, as law enforcement, decide or do an investigation to be able to see which side comes, how it's going to come down on. Is this a case of rape or is this a case of regret? There's a difference.
There is
a difference. Is this a case of rape, or is there
very good distinction
a case of regret? And there have been times where I said, no. The evidence supports that this is a case of regret. We will not prosecute this case.
Amen.
Because we represent everybody, including the accused.
Right.
Yep.
And so I'm
Yep.
going to make sure that I can ethically be able to go in court and say, I believe that you did X, Y, Z. But if I have doubt that you did X, Y, Z, I cannot ethically prosecute you as a prosecutor, as an attorney. I can lose my license for that.
And what we know is that this whole reason why we're doing a part 2 is because the culture in this industry is full of misogyny.
Yes.
It's full of sexual violence. And yet for some who choose to want to be in this industry to be successful in their craft, sometimes these are things that are tolerated, are done. It's not right. It's illegal. But people are in it because of their goals and dreams of wanting to stay in this industry, right?
People will sell their soul for fame and for fortune.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right? So now it all comes out,
Now it all comes out.
right? And this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the underbelly of stuff where people were violent, sexual violence occurred, like I said, misogyny, and here it is. So I'm mentioning that because you have others.
Yeah.
And this is well beyond just Diddy.
Yeah. So in the New York Adult Survivors Act, you have Mayor Eric Adams. He got caught up in that act, and someone has now accused him of rape, saying when he was a police captain that he and another guy raped her. You have The Game. This, I don't know how this passed us, how this got past us, but it got past us.
So hold on, let's go back to the mayor. So if the mayor's been accused, right?
Yeah.
What happens to his process at this point? I mean, what
It's going to get investigated as well, and it's a civil lawsuit, so it's not criminal. It's a civil lawsuit. So it got to go through the process. You got to go through depositions. You got to go through motions, if summary judgment motions, which basically, if the defense attorney make a motion to dismiss it because they feel like the evidence is insufficient. So you go through all the motions, you go through all the depositions, and you go through settlement conferences. And if you can't settle it, then guess what? You go to trial, and it's a trial normally by a jury, and the jury is going to decide yay or nay.
So worst case scenario, if he is found guilty in a civil suit,
Would he
would
be
he
found liable?
Okay, so if he's found
it's
liable,
different.
Yes, there's a difference between guilty and liable. Guilty is criminal, liable is civil.
Right.
so if he's found liable in a civil suit as mayor, would he have to step down as mayor?
No.
It's not criminal.
And
It's
that
not
would be
criminal.
no different than Trump.
Yeah.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah, because Trump was found liable in a rape case.
Yep.
It was civil.
Yep.
He's still running for president.
Yep.
Got it.
No different.
Yeah. You got The Game.
Got the game.
The Game.
For those who don't, rapper.
The rapper.
Is Game.
The
Yeah.
Game. He was on this show called She's Got Game back in 2015. And it was this reality show, and one of the contestants, they went out on a date. And she claims that while they were out there at a bar, again, this drinking thing, but nonetheless, a lot of times it's very rare that you are now dealing with acquaintance rape or acquaintance sexual assault where there's not some type of alcohol or drugs or something of that nature involved.
Right.
Most times it's involved. Well, at the bar, she claims he's groping her, he's going underneath her skirt, and he's doing all kind of things underneath there, and it's all up in public. And so she sued under she sued, I don't know under which law it was, because this is back in Chicago. So this is a different set of laws that she sued under, but she sued him, and she sued him within a year. So because she brought the lawsuit in 2016, this happened when back in 2015, I believe. So she was within the statute of limitations, and he, according to news articles, he did not show up for trial, and he would not respond to service, and he basically came across as if, I don't have anything to do with this. I don't care. You can't do anything to me, blah, blah, blah. So when it came down to the trial date and he did not show up, his attorney at the last minute asked for a continuance. Well, a continuance is within the discretion of the judge. The judge said no, because you didn't take this seriously. So the judge said, we're gonna have the trial. So they had the trial without him being there, which you can do that in a civil case.
Yes, you can.
And so the jury found him guilty and awarded $7.1 million.
Ooh.
1.1 in compensatory and $6 million in punitive. And so he appealed it to the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals said that the judge was within his rights to deny your continuance. So now he has to pay $7.1 million.
And that's what you get for not
And
taking
according
that
to a
seriously.
latest article, he is struggling to do that.
I bet he is. I bet he is. Probably should have showed up. You probably should have taken it seriously.
He should have taken it serious. So that was the game. I don't know how that sneaked past us.
Yeah,
and,
we didn't hear that.
and
We didn't hear about
it
that.
was
We didn't hear
all
about that.
quiet.
So
It
let
was
me
so quiet.
so let me ask you this. I'm asking all of y'all. Since these are civil cases, if Diddy's found guilty in another civil case, if the game has already been found guilty, liable. I'm sorry. Do you think that changes the public's perception of these artists?
Can I ask you a question? What do you think people think about P. Diddy right now before the lawsuits?
Well, they was listening to his music. Just like R. Kelly.
They would listen to R. Kelly's music, but do you think people would have left their children with R. Kelly?
No, but that doesn't mean they didn't listen to his music
But you said
and go to
what
his
was the
concert.
but you said what was the perception?
Diddy had a different image. He had a different image.
But you said what is the perception? You didn't say will people listen to his music. People are gonna listen to your music whether you found guilty of manslaughter and murder and you Jack the Ripper. They're gonna but you know people will listen to it. They will listen to it.
So
they
you
will
think
support.
people's perception has changed of him?
I think they already had a perception of him that was negative.
Yeah.
I think they already had a perception of Aaron Hall that was negative. Aaron Hall was on YouTube talking about how he would just snatch a girl up and do whatever he wanted to do with her. And the girl that's his baby mama met her when she was 16, 17 years old, got her pregnant. Why would you have a good reputation for doing that?
But why would the perception change if most of the music that's put out is already misogynistic?
Because here is the reality of it. We as parents don't parent our children the way we need to.
So then why would the perception change?
Because again, we as parents, because it doesn't start when they're 15, 16, and 17-year-old listen to this music. It starts when they're 2 and 3 and they're twerking to this music.
I agree.
Because we did a show on that.
I agree.
And they're twerking to this music. We are the one that's leading our kids many times astray. It ain't the artist.
Or we leave them
it's
to their
us.
own devices.
No, we're not leaving them to their own devices. We're playing it for them. We're twerking in front of them. When they twerk, we think it's cute. And it's cute right now until they're on the pole. And then once they on that pole and somebody's slapping that booty, then all of a sudden you got a problem. Right, yeah.
You may have a problem.
You might have a problem because you might be benefiting from the money that they bringing home.
Wait a minute. Did you do that?
Or go to OnlyFans.
Wait.
Come on.
That car payment with that.
I'm just saying.
So Alvin, I'm gonna ask you.
You said the kids is being pimped out to pay bills? Wait.
Come on, drugs. You think grandmamas and them don't know that they little Johnny out there selling drugs and bringing the drugs to the house?
Bring that part of it, yeah.
Come on, and bring the drugs to the house.
But now, to Kev's point, why would there be a different perception?
Why?
I'm not saying, but here's the thing. You're asking about perception. I'm saying the perception was already negative. So I don't think it would be a different perception. Like when all of these things came out about P. Diddy, I looked at many of the social media sites that were posting these things. They already thought these things about him.
Anyway.
They were already saying about time. In fact, they were saying stuff like, and I say this, they were like, Mace should be the one doing the Surviving Diddy podcast or Surviving Diddy series, like the R. Kelly thing. So they ain't just naming women, they naming men.
Lord,
So I go back. If you're found liable, does it change the game's life if he's found liable in the court of
He's already been found liable.
Right. So I'm saying it is going to change how people feel about him. I think about him. Are they going to stop listening to his music? When do we, to your point, when do we say?
Okay, Carrie, you gonna make me say it. You got church folks.
I know.
Dropping it like it's hot to R. Kelly right now. R. Kelly right now. To R. Kelly. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. You got pastors.
I knew you was going there. As a matter of time.
I believe I can fly.
Yes, I can believe that I can fly with your girlfriend on the side instead of with your wife. See, I'm just saying.
So we just have a culture of debauchery is what you're saying.
Now he wants to just make it all nice and clean. Is that what you're saying? Now he just want to make it all nice and clean.
The point I'm trying to
I'm just
nice and biblical.
Todd, the point I'm trying to make.
What you trying to make?
Now that all of this is coming forward,
it ain't all came forward.
But now the things that have.
Now that some of the stuff is coming out,
I don't think we have touched the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, fair enough.
Lord have
I
mercy.
don't think we have touched the tip of the iceberg. I'm telling you, I believe this, and I told you in the beginning when it first happened. I said you about to see an onslaught of women and some men.
Yeah,
I
he did
think
say
are
that.
going to come
He
out.
did
He
say
did
that.
say that.
I think
He
it's going to
did.
be a whole bunch of people
gonna
that's
be a
going to come out.
deluge.
And I said,
Yeah.
I can't wait till we start seeing the other side that's coming out that ain't nobody really talking about except on social media.
I got you.
But, because people scared they're going to get sued, so they don't want to talk about that. But my thing is, it's been alleged for years
Yes.
that he engaged in these type of parties, that he engaged in this type of activity. It's been alleged for years that he was wilding out, doing all kind of stuff. It's been alleged for years. So the thing is, it would not surprise many of us if people start filing lawsuits to now give some meat to what has been said in secret spaces.
I got that. Right? So let the dominoes fall.
Let the dominoes
Right.
fall.
Let the chips fall.
It's going to be what it's going to be.
But I'm going to ask Alvin as a woman, right? Because obviously this is very sensitive toward women. If it all comes out and they're found liable, not guilty, do you think it changes the perception of people in women? Do you think this is a justice? How do you think this is going to play out?
So let me clarify. Are you saying, does it change the way that those of us who are watching this happen feel about the artists themselves?
That's part of it.
Or are you asking, does it change the perception of this kind of activity as a whole, like in terms of how we look at hip hop as a whole? I just want to be clear and be
say
sure
both
I'm
sides. Do
answering
both.
what
Do
you're
both.
saying.
Start with the first one.
Okay. So does it change the perception of the individuals who are accused of said behavior
Correct.
that most of us would believe did participate in all of the behavior they're being accused of? And the answer is probably not, in that, as we referenced previously, there is an assumption about and because we're all believers on the show, the demonic nature of the entertainment industry. And we're not just talking about, we might be talking about hip hop right now, but we really mean the entertainment industry. We're just looking at a segment of it right now. Because when Me Too was hitting, we were talking about film then.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about music.
Yeah.
And that's not unique to people of color. That's not
That's
unique
good.
to, so let's be clear, it's not
Yeah.
an attack on, because what I'm gonna divert for just a second, but I'm gonna come back to this. What we're not gonna play make believe on is that this is some attack on righteous black men.
Come on.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
let's not play make believe
That's
on
good.
that, because that's the nonsense we tried to do with Bill Cosby. Oh, it was the one black man who had achieved stardom at XYZ level, and they're just trying to lynch him. This is a public lynching. You know what? It's not a public lynching when, my friend, you absolutely put together every fiber of the rope that you wrapped around the tree and put around your neck and then kicked the chair from underneath you. It's not a lynching when you did it. It's a lynching when you are innocent and people are trying to destroy and besmirch your quality name. You're a man of character, a woman of character, and that's happening. That is absolutely Satan trying to destroy the children of God, and that happens. But in these scenarios, that's not what we're having a conversation about.
Right.
So there's no reason for the black community to rally around criminals in order to suggest that somehow we are protecting ourselves from the onslaught of racist activity. It's racist activity when you are attacking innocent people of color.
Right.
These are not innocent people of color. So I just wanted to say that for
good. That's good.
those
Thank you for
in
saying
that. That's
radio
good.
land
That's good.
who want and there are some out there going to feel like somehow we're being disingenuous or betraying the culture by creating a platform to talk about yet another black person going down, and that's how it's seen, right? But let's be clear about something. There is no loyalty to sin.
We are husbands and fathers.
On this show, there's no loyalty to sin. So I don't care what color your sin comes in. There's no loyalty to sin. And that we're not suggesting we're all righteous and we've got our lives all perfect. We're just saying willfully participating knowledgeably in sinful behavior is not okay for any of us sitting up here, and it's not okay for anybody out there if you are living by biblical standards,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So coming back to your question, Kevin, I don't think it changes the perception of the individuals in that I think most people have chosen to accept that this is just what happens and this is who these people are, right? Now, in terms of the perception of more broadly what's happening in the industry, I'll speak for myself. My son is a very talented music producer. Daily, I try to find ways to convince him to tie those talents to something that is far less demonic. That doesn't mean come out of music. It means how you use the music and the industry in which you explore that should not be the one that's out there right now.
Yeah.
It's the same reason I would tell one of my children if they wanted to run for public office right now, you better be careful, because what's happening inside of those spaces, the people who are going in are not the same people who are coming out anymore. So like
talking right.
The enemy is real, and his attempt to pervert the waters where God was designed to be, that is a very real thing. And going back to Kevin's question before about where the parents, that is our job. Our first job as parents
Say that.
is to do everything we can to protect our children from the things that they may not see coming. And there are trains coming for our children, and we need to push them off the tracks. Do understand, mom, dad, auntie, grandma, and everybody else, when you push your child off that track, sometimes they turn around and look at you and be like, you hurt me.
Right.
Okay? That there was a trauma associated with you pushing them off the tracks. But hear me as a parent who now has older children. It is worth the anger,
Say it.
the resentment,
Yes.
and the ridicule that comes from
Yes.
your children to do what you had to do to save them from themselves because they didn't know better.
Would you? Oh my! Where's the organ? Say it one more again.
And
Hold the line. Just hold the line.
yeah, I mean, but if the whole industry, here's going to be the pushback. If the whole industry is demonic, what the kids going to listen to?
Look here.
That's how they think. I'm not saying
it's not
that's
that
how
the
they
whole
think.
thing is demonic. It's that we have enabled a freedom
Right.
of that spirit to move
There's a
inside of that
liberality that
place.
should not
It
be
isn't
there.
until we start calling it on the carpet
Right.
that we get to separate the wheat and the chaff. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, we got to separate these things now because God gave those gifts. The ability to sing is a gift. And you
Yes.
don't have to be singing scripture for it to be a gift, right?
Agreed.
Right.
So like it's not that there's something wrong with the gifts that God has given our children. It's that we've turned a blind eye to what has been present in the spaces where our children's gifts would be nurtured. And that's what we have to bring to the table at this point. And I will say though that the pedophilia, because that's what it is when you're a whole grown man messing with a child or a whole grown woman messing with a child, that right there is a whole next level of twisted demonic behavior.
But can I say this? The thing about it is, it's the sinful nature of the industry and the demonic laced nature of this industry. And so all it is there's no boundaries on sin.
Yeah.
And so sin just gets worse.
Oh yeah,
It
and the
doesn't
more
get-
money you have,
and the more money you
the
have,
more creative you can be with your
the more
sin.
creative you can be with your sin.
Correct.
So that's all it is. It's just they're becoming more creative and probably bored with what they already do.
Oh, that is exactly right.
Oh, I know it
because
is.
that's why we're moving from the traditional sin
Yeah.
to new and fresh
Yeah.
and creative.
Everybody's fluid with anything.
Okay,
you float through
we
whatever.
sleeping with trees now.
Yeah,
You know,
we
like, it
sleeping with
doesn't matter
trees, you know.
what it is.
Come on, a tree, a rock
Okay,
can be
like whatever
sexually
it
attractive
takes
now.
at this point.
Right.
So I'm hearing a cycle.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm hearing. I got money. I can be creative and do whatever I want because that's what the industry supports.
Yep.
Right? And if you come for me and I'm found liable, I can just go out on tour and make that money back.
Until the judgment. Because the Bible says that sin is pleasure. No. Let me give you some Bible. Some old school. Sin is
Give us the
pleasurable.
Old Testament.
Pleasure before season.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the judgment.
Yes. I agree with
Okay,
that.
so
I
guess
feel the
what?
tongue right
I
now.
don't care if you in the world or out the world.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Oh, make
and
no
so
mistake.
there will be judgment. Why? Because the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy.
But to your point earlier,
Yes.
there's still people in the church that endorse, support
They
listen
can endorse, they can support
all the stuff
it.
that we're talking about today that's demonic.
They can support, they can endorse all they want. But can I tell you about the church? That judgment comes to the house first.
Yeah. Judgment begins at the house of the Lord.
It comes
first.
to the house first.
That's what the text say.
I was gonna
That's
go
what
with
the
it.
text say.
I was about to throw names. I was about to throw names, but I'm not gonna throw names.
No.
But some people end up getting shot in their growing area because they wanted to do some things, freaky nature, on the weekend before they went into that pulpit, and then they got shot all up in their growing. They couldn't do nothing in. All I'm saying, it comes to the house first.
Okay.
I ain't gonna call no names, but y'all know who I'm talking about.
Y'all
So
should
listen.
Google it.
Go back to Aaron Hall, please.
I'm just saying. I'm
Go
just
back,
saying.
say that. Go back to Aaron, because you didn't cover Aaron Hall. We're almost out of time.
I
man.
mean, what is to say about Aaron Hall? Aaron Hall right now is caught up in this net. Aaron Hall had a YouTube video he had a YouTube video talking about his sexual prowess,
Right.
As
his endowment.
as he will put it, as he perceives it. And I'll tell you, the dude was just straight nasty. That's just who he is.
Yeah.
That's who he's personified himself to be, and so that's what he's projected out to the public. Well, so when his baby mama came out and said, she was 16 when she met him, and she was 17 when she got impregnated with him, and then he purchased her a white dress to go to a party that was put on by Bad Boys in the street, and that she believes that she was going to be a blood sacrifice, and she believed that who was it? Tupac
Yeah.
Saved her life.
Saved her life. This is all
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
She said that Tupac saved her life because she said, but for him, it was already going down. The person who was starting that whole set of events that was going to end with her being killed and making it look like it was a cat fight over a man, that person had already started with the behavior, and Tupac came in there, according to her, and said, "No, we're not having
We're not
this.
doing this 'cause she's family."
and she was pregnant at the time. And here's the other piece that's so crazy: she was saying then that Aaron Hall was abusive physically, he was abusive in all different kinds of ways, mentally, emotionally. The only thing she didn't say was he was abusive sexually, but she said he was very mean, and she said he was even meaner on that day, and she felt like what he was trying to do is separate himself emotionally from her, because
Knowing what was going to happen.
what was about to happen,
Yep.
even fighting with her about the dress that she was wearing, saying that he didn't like the dress, and she's like, "Are you crazy? You bought the dress, a white dress.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, purity.
Yeah.
A white dress for a white 17-year-old pregnant teenager that she believed was about to be put on the sacrificial lamppost. That's the kind of demonic undertones that we're talking about. And when you're talking about this type of music being blasted out to a generation of particularly people of color, and you got to wonder why we killing each other in the streets.
Yeah.
You ain't got to say shoot the police. Just the lyrics itself or the music itself, the beats itself, because there's that demonic undertone of violence in which is created, is spreading throughout our community.
It is, and let me just say, Aaron Hall and Guy and Diddy ain't the young kids' music.
No, not anymore.
That's our music.
our
Yes.
generation.
Our music.
Yeah, listen now.
So
That's Gen X music.
Parenting.
Gen X.
Yeah.
But when
said
do we
parenting.
start owning the fact that some of the stuff that we was listening to,
Yeah.
Facts.
You ask who
we're
let, who,
complicit
you
in
let,
some of this, man.
Facts.
You ask who let the gate open. We got to come right
We
here. with
always
us.
want to go to the kids,
We'll
man.
say,
We always want to see the
what we
kids.
will
Just
say
say it.
before you say it, Anton, what is also true though is that these same individuals are now the fathers of the music industry.
Right.
So they are perpetuating these things for the
Your
next
kids are you with the mic on
generation
real
because
loud.
they are the billionaires now.
And that's how we got Freak Nick 94.
Lord,
Yep.
did he go there?
Yep.
And that's why there's a documentary
And
out.
people scared to death.
And they scared to death. You got Sister So-and-so.
Please don't have me on that video,
And say,
please.
please, Lord, Jesus, be a fence around me, be a big old privacy fence around me and what I did back in 94. That's why you had Freak Nick.
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
It's
Freak
true.
Nick didn't start with this
It's true.
generation.
No.
Freak
It's
Nick
true.
started with us.
Yes.
It's true. That is
But Tom,
exactly
some people
right.
gonna say it's before the blood.
It ain't before no blood.
That's before the blood, Tom. Why you bringing up stuff before the blood?
I'm
Tom?
just
Why you
saying.
bringing up old stuff? Why you bringing up old stuff?
Hey, listen, I'm washed now. You
I'm
talking
good with that.
that
I'm
was
good with
BC. That was
But just
before
say-
Christ.
But you should have been washed with the blood when you saw that camera. You know what I'm saying?
So look,
camera
we
was out.
almost out of time, Ty. I want you to listen, you touched on it a few times. you the lawyer in this.
Yep.
You kind of see, you've been studying this. What specifically do you think is how this is going to play out?
I see a Bill Cosby effect. Oh, Lord. I really do. I see more and more and more young ladies coming forth, and I would not be surprised if there were some men that came forth, because that has also been rumored concerning that lifestyle and those behaviors. And so I am going to just wait for it. Okay. Because I really believe you're about to have a ripple effect. And not just him. I think there are going to be some people who are going to be, I don't want to call it unintended consequences, but collateral damage.
Yeah.
They're going to get caught up in the net because they were a part of that whole lifestyle
Much like
with
the Harvey
him
Weinstein
and did some things
situation.
with him.
Yep.
And so, like they want to go back and look at who took photos for Harvey.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
what's the young man that took his neck, killed himself in his, they say he killed himself in his cell.
But that's another
But
question.
that's another question, whether he really did kill himself. But nonetheless, now everybody want to know who was on the private jets, who was on the private island.
Who was complicit?
Who was complicit with all that, or who was doing it.
And what leaders might be present.
Come on,
as well.
who was on the guest list, and who may have had escorts sent to them on these private islands. So people are going to be asking the same questions concerning Diddy. I see that coming.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. This is it for us. We are done for the holiday season,
We are.
Christmas season.
We are.
Yes.
We want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We're coming back in January for more great shows, so keep locked in, tune in to us. So on behalf of everybody on the crew, we hope you have a great holiday break. We'll see you on the other side.
Hold your families tight.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Until next time, be blessed and be a blessing to someone else. Peace.
Okay, I hope you loved it as much as we did. Thank you for joining us for another fire show for the crew. Listen, you can catch us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and any streaming platform that you're using for your podcast. Share with a friend, expand the family. Listen, we're trying to do this thing with all of you as often as we possibly can. We're looking forward to you joining us again for our next show.